Hello, hello, hello. Did you know that just because you do not live with mental illness does not mean you have good mental health? And if you do have mental illness, you can have good mental health. I know that. I'm Wendy Watkins, the host of Making Stuff Up with Wendy, and I live with mental illness and good mental health. And if you're looking to improve your mental health, this is the place you'll receive and learn how to use your MSU to live a delicious life. Look, we all make stuff up, so why not make up the good stuff? My guest today is Dr. Caroleigh Elliott. She is fascinated with how the body works and how we engage in our health and wellness. Having practiced chiropractic for more than 20 years, she believes that self-care, how we move, how we nourish our body, and how we spark our spirit is the most potent, I couldn't get that word out there, potent form of healthcare. She's also a yoga instructor, and she is the co-founder of the Daycation here in Portland. And she's my chiropractor. Lucky me. Welcome, Dr. Caroleigh.
Thanks, Wendy. It's good to see you.
Yes,
your whole
good
face.
to see you. Yes, whole face. We were talking about that for the viewers that I've never seen Dr. Caroleigh without her mask on. So it's such a treat to actually meet her face to face this morning. Yes. So I'm so excited that you're here. So first off, we always start the show by each guest, you and everybody that's watching us today, you get your MSU, right? Because we all, and these are now, we were just talking about letters you could put behind your name, Caroleigh. There are more letters
I can add some
you
more.
don't have to care about. But because, you know, we all make stuff up, so why not make up the good stuff? So each of us already have an MSU, but let's make it formal. And I'm going to go ahead and give you yours, Dr. Caroleigh, and then you all will be able to have yours as well. So here you go. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If any of you viewers watching want a paper MSU, I could hook you up with that as well. You just have to reach up to me. Second, now that you have your MSU, and before we get into it, I just want to remind everyone viewing today that today's show is not a replacement for medical treatment or mental health. It's an edutainment piece, and it's using our experience and entertainment to increase your mental health. So if you're having a mental health crisis, please call your local mental health provider. And there are numbers in the comments of this video that you can find support. But in the meantime, now that we have all that, let's talk a little bit about MSU.
All right.
Making stuff up. So, Dr. Caroleigh, in your life, I mean, how do you define this concept of making stuff up?
Well, I really feel like making stuff up is just about life, like trying new things, being curious about what's around in the world, making mistakes, being comfortable laughing with yourself when you make the mistakes.
Right.
And then trying more stuff.
I like the way you put that we try stuff, like making it up. We try stuff. You just spoke right to, there's going to be failure sometime, right?
Oh, yeah.
But being able to laugh about it.
Yeah.
Have you had that?
I appreciate that my job is called a practice. And so that's really what I feel is I'm always trying new things. I'm always experimenting. I'm always trying to create the best experience for the people in my life. And sometimes it's not as great as I want it to be. And luckily, most of the time it works out really well because there's lots of ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I would imagine that on the days that things don't work out exactly the way you want them, do you use your MSU to support you in making it better, or the opposite, making it worse?
No, I feel like as a general human being, I'm quite optimistic, and I believe that the universe is always looking out for me and good thing is coming. And maybe it didn't turn out because it wasn't supposed to right now. And that's okay. I mean, I try to be patient. We all do. And no, I know that the good stuff is there and it's coming, and having that mindset makes a really big difference.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny what you say about patience. One of my favorite memes is, and I'm going to keep it clean, is why does patience have to be a virtue? Why can't Harry the F up be a virtue? You know, it's like sometimes
Yeah.
you want it so
Oh,
quickly, but
yeah.
that patience piece. So how do you use your MSU when you're feeling impatient and you know that patience is the key because everything is happening the way it's supposed to? Because I agree with you there, right? But sometimes I just want it now. Do you experience that?
Yes, I am a human and those things come up all the time. Um, I am, again, my business, my career is a practice, but I also practice yoga and meditation. And those also, I think, really help to ground me and center me, remind me that this is where we're supposed to be right now. We might not understand why or really want to be there, but this is where we need to be. And going through uncomfortable stuff is how we grow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, right? I mean, if you think about when you said that, I was like thinking of how a plant comes out of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, and what that must feel like to go from that little seed to bursting out, not comfortable, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Well, I think,
so,
I have a teenager at home as well. So, whew, do we make stuff up all the time about change and growing and being okay with that?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's true because teenagers, it's changing every day, isn't it? What's
Yeah.
their view, their desires,
Yeah.
all of that changes
Yeah.
every day. So flexibility is definitely key. Now, have you always been someone that uses their MSU in a positive way?
I believe so. I feel like, the older I get, we were talking about this as well, is that
Mhm.
I feel more comfortable with me and I feel more comfortable in what I want in my life. So I really try to create that. But again, I think it comes down to just recognizing where you are right now is where you're supposed to be. And
Yeah,
it's not all good and it's hard and all the emotions are fine and we just move as we can.
I agree. I agree. And it's when we realize, I mean, what I have found for myself is when I realize that, well, not even realize, just remember, we as humans have like 6,000 thoughts a day, right?
Right.
Think
Oh
about
yeah.
it. 6,000 thoughts a day. And I mean, I'm thinking with my 6,000, I'm gonna have to say about 3,000 of them have to be about food. I don't know about you.
Yeah, absolutely. What I just had, what I'm having next.
Exactly, which is, the foundation of a delicious life, but also knowing that those other thoughts that we're having, that we do have some control over them,
Yeah.
right? Because I think a lot of people realize that they don't, that, okay, with 6,000 thoughts, we're certainly not navigating those 6,000 thoughts, right?
Right. Oh
We'd
yeah.
be nuts if we were thinking, and that's not what we're saying, right? That we don't want to have to think about every thought. But when you use your MSU to create a little bit more of a delicious life, then it's an invitation to use the MSU to transform some of those thoughts into reality.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right?
That's
Almost like a pre-pave the day. Like one of the things that I do to use my MSU every day is when I wake up, I have a choice, right? I have a choice in that first thought that I think.
Yep.
And we can all start our day by choosing a good thought, right? Making up the good stuff that today is going to be a good day or something wonderful is going to happen today.
Gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Gratitude and appreciation. We make that up
Mm-hmm.
And it serves us in a bajillion and 12 ways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So one way to do that is to wake up each day and be grateful for something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even that you woke up.
Even that you woke up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I feel like when we have those thoughts, like 6,000 thoughts, the more we practice something, the more that is the first place that we go. So,
yes. And I love the word you keep bringing in the word practice, and it's so key because all of this, what you're talking about, our health, whether it's our mental health, our physical health, our way of thinking, it is all a practice.
oh yeah. And we forget like all of the pieces of us need to be healthy for us to truly like reach that optimal place of wherever we want to be. Our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, all of those things have to be um, they have to be moving forward, and you have to work on all of them.
Yeah. You know, when you say that, I see like a 4-lane highway, right? Physical, mental, emotional. And it's like we're in different, we're changing lanes
Yeah, yeah,
regularly.
right. Because even though we're thinking those 4,000 thoughts, we can only really focus on about 3 things at any given time.
Right.
And
And
that's like being expansive, I'd say.
right. I was going to say, you know, I've been on a quest to move from multitasking to monotasking, right? It's a talk about a practice, right? It's
Yep.
definitely a practice because I think I'm good at being able to do a few things at one time, but really I'm not. It dilutes the effort and it also stresses me out. So why would I continue to do that? Oh, well, to get more done. But what I made up something about that a long time ago about productivity equals worth.
Mm-hmm.
One I'm still navigating, right? And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people that are listening probably navigate that one as well, right?
Oh,
That if
yeah.
I'm busy,
Right.
I'm worthy. If I'm producing results, I'm worthy. So let me do more things, as many things as I can at a time,
Mm-hmm.
and that will make me feel good.
Right.
Yet, not always true.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
So,
self-worth has to, it's an intrinsic part of us that we have to work on.
yeah.
Oh, that practice again.
It's that practice again. But it's also like, so all of those areas or all those lanes, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whew, can feel like a lot of work sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How do you navigate all those lanes to get you going where you want to go by the end of the day?
I firmly believe that self-care is the most potent and powerful form of healthcare that you can do. And it's never selfish, even though sometimes it might look selfish, it isn't, because if you don't take care of yourself, there's no way you can take care of anybody else. So I'm a huge, huge proponent of self-care, and whatever that looks like to you too. Like, as long as you're being safe and kind and not hurting anybody, then
Yes.
go for it.
I love that. I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm carrying the flag in your self-care parade for sure. And you know, this conversation is not a new one about self-care.
No, but I think like it's really come to the forefront with just where we are in this world, because I feel like prior to the pandemic, we all had our own, issues and problems and things like that. But we all have the same sort of
Mm,
problem, for the lack of a better word, right? Like we're all in this together.
yeah.
And navigating that individually and as a whole community or society world, like that's really hard for all of us because it's so overwhelming.
Yeah. It is really hard. And that's, I mean, this is when using your MSU to make stuff up about others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remembering that everybody is going through a challenging time now. And
Oh
I
yeah.
know for myself, I could make stuff up like when I'm in the car, and if someone cuts me off, we have a choice there, right? About what we're going to make up.
Right, exactly.
And that's the choice we're talking. And sometimes it's making up that this is what I've been working on, my practice of shifting from that person is an a-hole to that person is exhibiting asinine tendencies.
Nice.
It helps me to feel better and not to start to hate people, because that person could have just gotten a phone call that their mom was just in the hospital and they had to cut me off to get there. Like, it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Which then makes the impact in the rest of my day and how I show up at my next appointment. Because if I come to my next appointment after thinking that guy was an a-hole and he cut me off, and that's all I want to talk about then. Oh my God, that jerk. I should have seen that, right? And then it's the downward spiral from there. So using our MSU to be compassionate.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said, is that we all have choices, and that's what it is. Like, stuff happens all the time. And as much as I would like to believe that I'm in control, I'm not in control of anything really, except for how I react and how I come to the world and how I am present. That's the only thing I really can control.
I'm taking that one in. Oh gosh. Like, I know it, I hear it, I say it, but man, oh man, that control hat still comes on every once in a while, thinking I could make things happen the way I want them to.
Yep.
But it really, the only thing we have control of is how we respond. So, so going back to the self-care, because I love that definition of your belief of how we move, how we nourish our bodies, and how we spark our spirits, right? That's so important. But what do you think people make up about self-care?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is that it's selfish. I don't have time to sit on my yoga mat. I don't have time to go for a walk. I don't have time for any of that stuff. But really, like, that's the part that's the juicy part. Like, that's the part we need to do, is take care of that. Everything else falls in easier. It's about choices again. So self-care, being selfish, is the biggest thing that I would like people to know, that it's not like, it's the number one thing to do. And it's then how we create our experience in the world, and we only get to be here for a finite period of time, so might as well have a good time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you didn't just, you weren't born on the yoga mat and meditating. And so if there was a tip that you could share with people to maybe be able to, how they could use their MSU, their thoughts, to support them in embracing that all important self-care.
Sure, I have two.
Oh, great.
The first one is that 15 minutes is 1% of your day.
Ooh.
So if you take 10 minutes to go outside for a walk, 10 minutes to just be in stillness and gratitude, or whatever that mindful practice is to you, and 10 minutes of getting your heart rate up, that's only 2% of your day. So I think having that mindset shift can be really important as well. When I don't want to, like, my thing in the morning is I get up, I go on my spin bike, I do some weights, I go to the yoga mat, and I do a little meditation, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that today. And I'm like, all I have to do is 15 minutes, because that's only 1% of my day. And if at 15 minutes I'm like, I'm out.
Yep. I love that.
I can suck it up at that point and keep going.
Yeah. And what I love,
15 minutes is only 1% of your day.
I know, that's incredible. I've always thought too, like there are very important people out there that are much busier than me, aka like maybe the president of the United States. And I remember when Obama was president, you know, he exercised every day. And I thought, well, if the president could find a few minutes to take care of himself, surely I can.
Surely you can. And you're just as important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. So realizing that it's just 1%.
Yeah.
Right. And giving
that's a start. I mean, obviously that's where we begin, but that's when I'm like, I just no today. I just say it's 1% of my day. I can make that happen.
Yes. Yes. I did that this morning. You know, I was like, I did my journaling and I was like, okay, time for the yoga. And I was like, 15 minutes. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, if I can't give myself 15 minutes for me, then how am I able to give so much to everybody else throughout the day?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it does allow me to be my best self. All right, cool. Was there another? Did you have a second?
Well, that was, and then it's 10, 10, 10. So
tell me the 10, 10, 10.
15 minutes is 1% of your day. And then 10 minutes of outside, 10 minutes of getting your heart rate up, and 10 minutes of just stillness where you're really consciously still, like not sitting there brooding over something or whatever, you know, wherever our brains go, because, you know, 4,000 thoughts. But really being mindful of that time and being grateful and writing down. And it can even be like, well, I got to write down all the things I'm mad about too, because then you can let that go, or you can create whatever ritual around that you need to do as well, because, you know, all the emotions are good. Being upset, being anxious, those are real and they're valid, and you get to choose and then how you want to work to the point where you can work. And if you need help, then that's when you go get help. And there's no shame in that either.
Absolutely. 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 So, and for getting help, I mean, that we're not meant to do this by ourselves. You know, we hear the term, it takes a village, and it truly does take a village to live a fulfilling, healthy life. Yeah.
We've lost a lot of our ancient communities. So we have to build that community and be part of the team. Like that's my job, right? I want to be part of people's team.
Yes, I see you're on Team Wendy, so that makes a difference for me. Yeah. So, and then the other thing around self-care is a lot of people see self-care as getting a manicure or a pedicure, which is all well and good, or getting a massage. Fabulous.
Yep.
It could be journaling. It could be running. It could be laying on the floor and rubbing on your dog.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's whatever you do for yourself that makes you feel good, that fills your fountain, fills your cup.
Yep.
Because it's so strange. Yeah. So it's finding it. And what I love what you said is that, you know, it's a variety of things. You can have I love the buffet. I'm a buffet girl. So I like having a variety of rituals that I can do that will fill my cup.
And they should be things that you like too, so that you're more willing to do them as well.
Yeah, don't do self-care you don't like.
Don't do marathons, but I would hate that. Right. So I'm not going to do them. And then when I am doing it, I'm going to hate it the entire time. Yeah.
So you know, making stuff up can lead us to comparison and thinking that we should be doing what our friends or family are doing or what they've done before. And just know when you're using your MSU, no shoulds in the house.
No,
All right. This is about making stuff up that's going to support you in feeling good so you can do good things.
Yes.
And that's really what this is all about, right? So,
absolutely.
Yep. All right, so let's flex your MSU muscle, Caroleigh. I have a handful of quotes here.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick one, and I'd like you to use your MSU and make some stuff up about it.
Okay.
You may use it today or in the future or anything. So let's see what we got here. Oh, I can't even read. Okay, so this is by Buckminster Fuller. The minute you begin to do This is so perfect. The minute you begin to do what you really want to do, it's really a different kind of life.
Oh my gosh, that is perfect. And I'm a huge fan of the buckyball, so that's
Yes, we love Bucky.
yeah.
So what do you think he was making up when he said that? The minute you begin to do what you really want to do, it's really a different kind of life.
What do I think he was doing? I would assume he was finding out, or he was following his curiosity of why, like, why do these things do what they want to do? And instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I have to go and work on that problem, but like finding that juiciness of why, like, how does this work? Why does it do that? Like, that's, I think, just finding some of that deep desire inside of you to find out why.
Mm.
And then it's not as much of a job. It's like, oh, I've got all these books to read, but I want to read them because I want to know why. I have this project to work on, but why? Like, what do I want to get out of it?
So it's that curiosity
I think
piece.
it's the curiosity and the spark of what is interesting to you. And not everything. I mean, so this is where probably my biggest struggle is right now, is that I have a teenager who's not all that motivated, which is okay because school is, for school, like, you have a set curriculum. You don't get to choose most of it. But having that interest of why you're learning something right now it makes you more expansive in the world. I think it's like, it's not about what you're telling me I have to do. I want to know this.
Yes.
So trying to teach him that, to be curious about even the stuff you don't find any interest in, there's still something interesting in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you figured out what's interesting in algebra yet?
I actually really like algebra. So that is not a good thing, but I have to remember that this is his journey and not mine.
Oh, yes, old algebra.
Yeah. But
yeah.
you like, for him, like, he likes things to be structured. I'm like, math is the ultimate structure. Like, you follow the rules, you're going to get the results. So
Exactly.
But just finding curiosity, finding what is interesting in it, because everything is interesting. Like, everything is interesting.
Yeah, it is. And it's what I'm hearing there also. It's giving yourself the permission to try something different. And if it doesn't work, to try something else again.
Exactly. Yeah. We really learn when we don't succeed how we think.
Yeah. You said that right at the beginning. Yeah. I mean, that was something.
Well, that's making stuff up all the time.
Yeah. It is true. It is totally true. For each of you listening right now, know that every time something happens to you, right? Whether you're told you have to do this homework, or you have to get this report in, or you're going to your in-laws and you don't want to this weekend, whatever it is, you get to make up how you think about it. Mm-hmm. No one comes and deposits thoughts in your head and tells you how to think about it. And a thought, beliefs that we may have are thoughts that we just have thought again and again and again.
Yeah.
So if you want to change the way you feel, you could use your MSU by changing your thoughts, which will in turn change the way you feel and probably move you into action towards the results you want in your life. So it's just remembering that you are in the driver's seat.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
but only about your reaction, not about stuff that goes on around you.
Exactly.
That's the best part, right? It's like,
exactly.
How do you get to show up in the world?
Yeah. And imagine how much space, like I just thought for myself, wow, if I let go of all those things that I think I'm controlling, right? The illusion of control is really what we all have. It's an illusion. But if I were to let go of all of those things, and it's not a lot, but there's definitely some, there would be more space for me to do the things that I want to do and think about what I want to do and the energy of the things that really do light me up. So that's another practice for all of us, right? Is to
Good
remember.
practice.
Yeah.
And it is a practice. We don't get, there's no end. You get
Right.
until the end.
Right.
And then you get a different adventure, perhaps.
Now that's a whole nother way to use our MSU. Maybe some other, some other time we'll talk about that. But that's a whole nother conversation.
A whole nother conversation.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Awesome, Dr. Caroleigh. Well, this was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Wendy. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, and for those of you viewing, thank you so much for your time. We know that it's precious. And if you are enjoying the Making Stuff Up show, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can go ahead and do that right below this video. And in the meantime, Dr. Caroleigh, is there any final thoughts you want to share before we wrap up here?
Just enjoy, like go out and find something that sparks your passion and live it.
Live it. That's it, right? As
Yeah.
we say here, if you're making up the stuff, if you're gonna make up stuff, make up the good stuff.
Make up the good stuff.
Right? From your passion and all of that. So thank you all again for viewing, and we will look forward to seeing you next week on Making Stuff Up with Wendy. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.